1940. World War II is building in Europe. Casualties are mounting in Britain. Medical care in the cities and on the front line is rudimentary at best. One major problem, dwindling blood supplies, and blood is very perishable. A young black doctor working quietly in a lab will help create a life-giving solution. In 1928, Charles Drew, a young college grad from D.C., begins medical school. Since most other medical schools in the United States do not accept black students, Drew attends McGill University in Montreal, Canada. It is at McGill that Drew begins experimentation with blood transfusions. 5 years later, he graduates near the top of his class. In 1935, Drew lands a job at Howard University where he will teach aspiring black doctors. His apprentices admire him, but they soon understand that Dr. Drew will not accept anything short of brilliance. He didn't see race as an excuse for mediocrity.
He said, excellence of performance will transcend artificial barriers created by man. I never forgot that. What he was saying is if you did it well enough, people had to notice it.
While at Howard, Drew wins a research grant to study blood preservation at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York. There, he begins to explore the separation of blood components for use in transfusions later. By 1940, as Drew is working diligently in his lab, World War II has consumed Europe. His work takes on a new urgency.
The soldiers were losing their lives because they could not get transfusions to the battlefield to those soldiers quickly enough.
One day, Drew gets a call from an old teacher at Columbia University. The professor is working on England's drive for blood supplies. He asks Drew to be director of the Blood for Britain project. It will call for delivery of blood on an enormous scale, something that has never been done before. Drew throws himself into the work.
His real genius here, I think, was to take those benchtop experiments and translate them into a mass production operation.
Soon, the British are using data Drew has amassed to set up their own blood banks. The Brits are able to collect the thousands of units of plasma they need. By the time the U.S. enters the war in 1941, Drew has become director of the Red Cross's blood program. There, he faces a very different challenge. The armed forces have a controversial practice, separating blood from black and white donors.
In his view, there was absolutely no reason to separate or to segregate blood on any basis other than blood type, A, B, O, AB. And obviously, he was quite right about that.
In the winter of 1941, Dr. Charles Drew calls a press conference saying, "There is no scientific explanation for the military's policy of segregating blood." He stands by his principles and quits the Red Cross in protest. Still, he's credited with being a founding medical presence in the organization. That year, Drew returns to teaching surgery at Howard University and speaking to others about his work. Drew's legacy and the techniques he helped develop continue to save millions of lives.